discussion with you about valuation methods or anything like that. And thank you very much for the Institute of Valuers for giving this opportunity for me. In fact, don't know whether this topic is all right. I put it reviewing asset valuation reports. You are expecting something like that, I think. And my problem is I can't be seated and talk to you because generally I used to stand and do it. Okay. How I arrange this is because you have sent some details what you really expect from us to discuss with you, and based on that I arrange my presentation. Here of course most probably I may discuss something of yours also, the auditing, the principles of that, as we know, because as valuers when we do asset valuations, we should acquaint with your procedures and regulations and rules, everything, as you understand. So without knowing that, of course, we can't go forward. Therefore, I will little discuss about those things also. If I make any mistakes, of course, you can correct them. And meanwhile, the valuation practice, how we do assets valuation, and those things also I would like to discuss. And also the reviewing on valuation, reviewing of valuation reports, that's also another part that will I hope to discuss a little that also with you. To start with, asset interpretation, international valuation standard concept is generally I call concepts fundamental to generally accepted valuation principle, that PSVP. Resource owned or controlled by an entity as a result of past events, and from which some future economic benefits can be expected to flow to the entity. Ownership of an asset is itself an intangible, however, the asset owned may be either tangible or intangible. You are well aware of that. And this is really the business. We invest money in businesses, and to build up business you would need assets, and assets really of course we expect some flow to the entity, and that's a normal process, of course, you know about that. And to help that only we do our assets valuation. Then we go to the IAS framework also, that's the International Accounting Standard. A resource controlled by an entity as a result of past events, and from which future economic benefits are expected to flow to the entity. Similar, no difference there. Although some words are, more words are there in first. The asset recognition is an item of property, plant and equipment should be recognized as an asset when it is probable that future economic benefits associated with the asset will flow to the entity, and the cost of the asset to the entity can be measured reliably. Because as a business of I don't want to talk on this growth and the return on invested capital. Those things, of course, not we are talking on, because you are very well know about those things. And real speaking, to growth, to have a growth, because later on, I think there's some problem when we take, for instance, like this, value assets. Sometimes when we take the total value of assets, and when you compare with that the growth, that those two may not tally, because all adjustments you are doing, how to reflect in your financial statements, different matters. So I don't want to talk on that. Generally, the recognition asset is this. So Sri Lanka Auditing Standards 620, that's correct, no? According to the paragraph 9, the auditor shall evaluate whether his expert has the necessary competence, capabilities and objectivity for the auditor's purpose. Paragraph 11 requires the following matters to be agreed with the expert. before doing the valuation, the nature, scope and objectives of that expert's work, the respective roles and responsibilities of the auditor and that expert, the nature, timing and extent of communication between the auditor and the expert, including the form of any report to be provided by that expert, and the need for the auditor's expert to observe confidentiality requirements. Those are normal things. Before starting evaluation, we agree with the auditor. SLFR 13 says the basis of valuation for financial report is the fair value, as set out in SLR S13, fair value measurement. Sri Lanka Auditing Standard says FLR 13 provides a fair value measurement framework to apply to both initial and subsequent measurement. So what we do is really, as valuers, we go through the accounting standards also, and SLFR is 13 and all other 13, 7, 16, 17, 40, all those things we study, and accordingly we do our asset valuation. Fair value is required to estimate the price at which an orderly transaction to sell the asset would take place between market participants at the measurement date and the current market condition at the principal market. And you talk on two markets there, principal market or most advantageous market. If in the absence of a principal market, we take the most advantageous market to measure such items at fair value. Therefore, we should know what is the principal market and what is the most advantageous market. Now, having understood those things, generally in your accounting SLFRS, the basic contents of a valuation report are as under. One is identification and the status of the valuer. B, identification of the client and any other intended users. 3, purpose of the valuation. D, identification of the asset to be valued. E, basis of value. And highest and best use considered for the evaluation. Extent of investigation. Encumbrances attached to the asset and the impact on the valuation. Nature and source of the information relied upon. Assumptions and special assumptions. Confirmation that the valuation complies with these guidelines. Valuation approach and reasoning. Amount of the valuation or range of values. And date of the valuation report and effective date of valuation. We'll take one by one and see what they are and how we understand them. Now, identification and status of the valuer. According to SLFRS, the valuer's qualifications are this. Generally, A, identification and status of valuer. A valuer in International Valuation Standard, a valuer is defined. Valuer has been defined as an individual, group of individuals, or a firm possessing the necessary qualifications, ability and experience to undertake evaluation in an objective, unbiased and competent manner. So, SLFR understand, and they have given in their guidelines who are the valuers competent of doing asset valuations. They are eligibility criteria of valuers. A, under A it says a corporate member of the Institute of Valuers of Sri Lanka, IVSL, who shall be a fellow member or a graduate member with 5 years experience in some grade of membership, or an associate member with 20 years of experience in some grade of membership, or B, a fellow member of the Royal Institution of Chartered Surveyors of the United Kingdom